Series 10 of Doctor Who is the third and final series featuring Peter Capaldi's 12th Doctor, as well as being the sixth and final series under Stephen Moffat as showrunner and head writer. While this series received generally good reception from viewers and critics, it also had some of the lowest average viewing figures in Doctor Who history. It was also around this time all the talk of Doctor Who's ruined, it's not the same anymore, it's gone woke sort of started ramping up. But for me personally, are you ready for this? I'm gonna say something outrageous right now. Series 10 of Doctor Who is one of my favourite series of any show ever. And yeah, it already has a head start of being a series of my favourite TV show, but even then, it's one of my favourite series of Doctor Who by far, and it is what I consider to be the most underrated series of Doctor Who. So let's talk about it. The series opens up and almost has a complete clean slate. Like, we do have the 12th Doctor who's been around for a bit, and we have Nardole, who we'd seen in a couple episodes before. But this series is written in such a way that new viewers can easily jump in without feeling lost. The introduction of Bill Potts, an ordinary human who becomes the Doctor's companion in this series, serves as an entry point for viewers who may not be familiar with the show's lore. Bill acts as the viewer's eyes and ears, kinda. She asks the questions we want to ask, and Nardole, despite not being a completely new character, still makes sense from the get-go. We are reintroduced to him as well as the Doctor through Bill's experience meeting them, and despite being the main comic relief sidekick character on the surface, Nardole is someone who we find out has spent a lot of time with the Doctor since the last series, and knows him quite well, and acts as a sort of guide to Bill and her adventures with him. He's a little more socially aware in some ways than the Doctor, and he looks out for Bill when the Doctor sometimes struggles to. He acts as a guide for the viewers the same way Bill acts as the eyes and ears, if that makes sense. As the series opens, we see the Doctor teaching as a professor at St. Luke's University, where he's apparently been teaching for over 70 years, and all of those years have taken place since the last series. We meet Bill as she's being called to the Doctor's University office. She's introduced as a cafeteria worker who's been attending the Doctor's lectures out of curiosity and genuine interest for all the weird and interesting things he has to say. The Doctor takes notice of her and offers to tutor her in physics. And then, alien stuff happens, she goes into the TARDIS, becomes a companion for the series. Classic Doctor Who stuff. But what sets Series 10 apart from all the other Doctor Who series is its unique continuous story arc. While other series of Doctor Who often feature standalone episodes with little connection to each other, Series 10 has a cohesive storyline that continues throughout each episode. The mystery of a vault that the Doctor has been guarding, the return of Missy, and the Doctor's impending regeneration all contribute to this addicting sense of tension and anticipation that builds throughout the entire series. We still get the famous Doctor Who Monster of the Week format for the most part, but we also, for the first half or so of the series, get to look forward to a little teaser or expansion on Series 10's overarching story each episode too. And yeah, this isn't the only time this has ever happened in a Doctor Who series, but it is very uncommon, and when it's been done before, or since then, I honestly just don't think it's been done nearly as well. Although I do suspect that Russell T Davies might try something like this and do incredibly, because that's what he does, but we'll see. The Doctor's mysterious vault is the main focus of this continuous story arc for the first few episodes. The audience is left wondering what could be so important that the Doctor has to guard it day and night. As the series progresses, we learn that the vault contains none other than Missy, an incarnation of the Master, the Doctor's former friend turned arch nemesis. We find out that the Doctor has made a vow to keep her locked up for 1,000 years. The reveal of Missy's presence in the vault adds a layer of complexity to the story, and the tension between her and the Doctor builds throughout the entire series in a different way than we've really ever seen before of these characters. Missy's character goes through an arc of wanting to become good, or at least telling us she does. Throughout the season we see Missy struggle with her past as a villain and a killer, and we watch her attempting to redeem herself in the eyes of the Doctor, her oldest friend. However, we're never quite sure if Missy's being sincere in her desire to change, or if she's simply playing another one of her twisted games she's notorious for. But despite this uncertainty, both the Doctor and us, the viewers, desperately want to believe that Missy's capable of change. It's this tension between Missy's past actions and her potential for redemption that makes her character so fascinating to watch in this series in a new way. The Doctor's desire to help Missy is a continuation of the character development we saw from him in series 8 and 9, as he grappled with the question of whether he was a good man or not. And I think Doctor Who's at its best when it messes with morality and ethics and the sort of nuances of what's right and wrong. We saw this bit of Matt Smith's Doctor in episodes like The Beast Below, and we saw it a lot with David Tennant's Doctor with the whole Time Lord Victorious arc. In series 10, the Doctor is determined to be that good man. He's determined to do what's right, as well as helping Missy find redemption if there's any possibility of that, even when it seems impossible. This ultimately leads to a heartbreaking finale, as the Doctor is forced to confront the fact that Missy may never truly change, and that he may not be able to save her. The Doctor's arc throughout series 10 is a powerful exploration of morality and redemption, and it ties in perfectly with the themes of his previous seasons and his Doctor's entire overall arc. The episode Rolled Enough in Time sees him separated from Bill and facing off against the Master, Missy's previous incarnation, as well as the Cybermen, one of his most notorious reoccurring enemies. And not to mention, with all this extra plot and incredible writing, they could have just made this another generic Cyberman story. But they made it not only a huge part of these characters' arcs, but it was also an origin story for the Cybermen, and a really good one at that. The Doctor's increasing sense of isolation and desperation is so strong and emotional and heavy hitting, and it's clear that he's struggling, like really struggling, and this series brings him to rock bottom. In the next episode, the Doctor falls. The Doctor's put in an interesting position when he realises that he may not be able to save Bill. This might not be a happy ending. He becomes borderline suicidal. He's tired, he's beaten down, and he's going through and has gone through hell. For a while, he doesn't want to regenerate this time. He doesn't want to go on. He's gone through so much loss over the thousands of years he's been alive, and now once again he's lost someone. He wasn't able to save Bill. In the final episode of the series, Twice Upon a Time, Bill Potts makes a final appearance as a sentient projection created by the Testimony, an organisation that collects the memories of the deceased to preserve their experiences. It's almost like a ghost of her, with all the same memories. I'm gonna play you one of the final scenes of this episode, where the Doctor is dying and he doesn't want to regenerate, and he has a conversation with Bill and Nardole's projections. Here's the scene.
Got a suggestion for you then. Don't die. Because if you do, I think everybody in the universe might just go cold.
Can't I ever have peace? Can't I rest?
Of course you can.
It's your choice.
Only yours.
We understand.
No. No, you don't. You're not even really here. You're just memories.
A life this long. Do you understand what it is? It's a battlefield, like this one. And it's empty.
Because everyone else has fallen. Thank you.
Thank you both.
For everything that you were to me. What happens now? Where I go now has to be alone. Time to leave the battlefield.
The Doctor's arc throughout series 10 is a fitting conclusion to his overall story, and it ties in perfectly with the themes of his previous seasons. It's a heavy, emotional, and incredibly well written story. It takes the core of these old characters of the Doctor and Missy and really digs deeper into them than ever before. It explores the core values and experiences of the Doctor and the idea of living on for thousands of years whilst meeting, loving, and inevitably letting go of everyone he cares about as they die off before him. People come, he loves them, they leave. It's a cycle for him, which only adds to the heartbreak of the Missy situation. The only friend he's ever had who understands that, who's lived just as long. Overall, this series is one that can be enjoyed by both long-time fans of the show and new viewers alike. Despite its lower viewing figures and the criticism it may have received, I believe it's one of the most, if not the most, underrated series of this show. ever, and a must watch for anyone who loves the show or has any small amount of interest in giving it a go at all. And in this video I didn't even scrape the barrel of what this series has to offer. The standalone stories and the multi-part adventures in this series are incredible and are definitely worth watching even by themselves. I hope this video has made you remember your love for this series, or appreciate it more, or if you haven't seen it at all, I hope it made you want to. Thanks for watching, more videos soon. Leave a comment and let me know what videos you want me to make next. Cool, thank you.